Let's do this.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Nick at talknreview, and
Dan, long time no see.
so yeah, we're going to be
What he said.
so we're going to be doing a spoiler review on the Joker. Do you want to go over a plot synopsis?
I do, but I also don't. The reason I don't is because I've been looking forward to this film for the last 20 months, and I really want to do it justice in this review that we give it. So it's an origin story of possibly, inarguably the most famous Batman villain, possibly the greatest villain in all of the DC universe. I think you all agree with me.
Yeah.
So it's an origin film story. So it's an origin story of how the Joker becomes to be who he is. It takes you from his beginnings, kind of gives him a real good backstory. You don't join it with him as a kid, but it takes you through how he develops from being the person he is all the way through to him just starting his career as the supervillain, the Joker, that we all know and, dare I say, love. My first question to you, Nick, is: did the film live up to the expectations you had for it?
Yes, I think I probably had a bit of a different film in mind. I didn't think it would be as dark as it is, or character driven, because it's very centred on Joaquin Phoenix, and he's probably 99% on screen throughout the whole film. So I thought it might have been a bit more open-world rather than just more centred on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely lived up to my expectations. What about yours?
Oh well, no, it surpassed mine. Absolutely surpassed my expectations. Similar to yourself, I thought it was going to be. I know there were a lot of. I tended not to read up a lot about the film because, in fact, we spoke about it, didn't we? About those 20 months ago, when it was first announced. Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix were involved in it, and being a really good director, and Joaquin Phoenix being one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest actors, certainly within the last 30 years. I was really looking forward to it, and I'd heard rumours that it was going to be along the lines of The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Which is what got me excited about it to start with, because I thought that's going to be an awesome story to tell. So I was expecting more of that, so more of the, just a short part about the beginning of the Joker's origin, and then more about the actual crimes that he's involved in. And that didn't happen in this film, but I was pleasantly surprised that the story that was actually told is a complete new story. It's not one that exists out in the comic world.
I think they had a little bit with the comedian aspect, but I think apart from that,
Well, I've read since because Todd Phillips obviously wrote the film as well, and I've read, I think it might have been in Empire that I read it, that Todd Phillips had a picture of Joaquin Phoenix above his desk as he was writing.
I saw that as well.
So obviously it was writing the character around what he knew Joaquin Phoenix could deliver. But yeah, and he said that he did pull on opening elements on The Killing Joke, as in with the failing comedy career as a dressing as a clown and acting the comedian, and it being awful. But yeah, the direction it went and the story it told, it just blew my mind. I thought it was brilliant. I was mesmerised throughout the entire film. I think we only said about 8 words to one another.
Yeah.
Which I talk a lot during movies.
So what did you think of Joaquin's performance, or any of the other actors in the film?
See, I kind of want to leave Joaquin till the end.
Okay.
Mainly to keep you lot engaged, and I want you to watch it all the way through. But I think if we talk about the supporting roles first of all, I've just had to check up who played. What's his name? It's Fleck, isn't it his name?
Yeah, Arthur Fleck.
Arthur Fleck, yeah. So the woman that played his mum, I've just looked up the name, it's Frances Conroy. I knew I recognised her from 6 Feet Under. But yes, I thought she was brilliant as well.
She was awesome.
Very little screen time.
Yeah.
But the screen time that she had, it was great. I mean, there's not a lot of words involved in and much dialogue for her, but
it made its mark, didn't it?
Oh right, it really played its part that character needed. So
Definitely.
The character of Arthur Fleck needed. So he cared for his mum throughout this. You don't understand why he cares for her. You know she's got issues, but you do find out in the film what those issues are. What about you for supporting actors?
Yeah, so in my thoughts on the supporting roles, I think Robert De Niro really surprised me with the short time span that he's got in the film. I didn't think he phoned it in. I think he done a real good job. I don't know if that's because a lot of the film is giving homage to Taxi Driver, king of comedy, so he probably put the extra effort in to honour his sort of legacy for them 80s and 70s films.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, maybe point out the fact that the film's set in, like, I think it's 81, isn't it? 1981. But yeah, I agree with you on De Niro. Because again, we found out about the same time. It probably you that told me anyway that De Niro was involved in the film, and it was like, for me, another one of the greatest actors we've ever. Well, it's inarguably one of the greatest actors we've ever had. And I just didn't know how a guy as big as that was going to play a supporting role in this film.
Yeah.
And then the character that he was playing, which is like a TV host, I didn't see how they were going to be able to tie the TV host in to this film. It just didn't make sense when reading about it or hearing about it. But I suppose with me not reading much about the film before it came out, to expect the unexpected. But yeah, he really did play the part well, and there were elements of classic De Niro in his character.
Definitely.
So yeah, certainly the part, right toward the end, which we're not going to go into just yet.
What do you think of ZZ Beetz?
Oh man, so I don't know much about her. I absolutely loved her in Deadpool 2 as Domino. Absolutely brilliant. And whilst we were watching the film, I was thinking to myself, where do I know her from? But yeah, it clicked about when she'd been on screen a couple of times. Again, to say the little screen time that she got, and she did get very little screen time, it was so effective.
Yeah.
And I think that is, again, it's compliments again to the writing.
Yeah.
It was absolutely perfect, her time on screen.
Do you think she needed more?
No, I don't. I think, again, with what happens with her character in the film, I don't think she needed any more. I think that I want to go back and watch the film again, but I don't think I would change my mind on that. I think the time that she got on screen was perfect, and what she was doing on screen was perfect. It all played into the film.
What was your thoughts on Joaquin then?
No, before I go on to him, I want to talk about Thomas Wayne.
Alright, yeah.
Now, I wasn't happy with Thomas Wayne in this. So this is I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Brett Cullen? I might be making that name up. But he played a congressman in The Dark Knight. So it was like he was the only person involved in The Dark Knight.
Okay.
That's involved in this movie. I believe I'm right. If I'm wrong, sue me. Fuck it. But he was too old. For the story, where it starts with young Bruce Wayne.
I understand that.
Bruce Wayne is, he's depicted as that 7-8-year-old boy. Yeah. And Thomas and Martha Wayne were far too old. They look like they're in their 60s. Now, from my understanding, I believe they were like in their early 40s when they died.
Yeah.
So again, it's a new story. That for me is the one bit of the film that I didn't like. I just felt they were a little bit too old for me.
I thought they were leaning more towards that Thomas Wayne is the villain. he's causing all of this, what is it, carnage in Gotham.
Yeah, there's strikes, aren't they? It's like we'll get the right word for it in a minute. Like a revolt, but yeah, they were they were just going. It was the what was the riots, rioting.
Yeah, that's
the
it.
Rioting. Yeah, we get there in the end. Clever boys. But yeah, he did. So in the film, Thomas Wayne is running for mayor, and mayor. But, yeah, when they're interviewing him, he's shown on the TV talking about the people that are rioting and striking. Oh, what we haven't mentioned is in the film. It is obviously it's set in Gotham City, but it's in the middle of a garbage strike, so it's just like the slums, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was depicted really well for Gotham. I thought it was
well.
really good. But you know, he's the billionaire that should be able to change all of this, but he's running for mayor because he thinks that's how he's going to do it, and he refers to the people that are rioting as clowns.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? Which played really well with the build up to the Joker character himself. Which again, let's move on to him now.
Yeah.
Because you just threw that at me. I'm going to ask you now.
All right.
What did you think of Joaquin Phoenix?
So I watched Joaquin in You Were Never Really Here, and that film sort of got me prepared for how he was going to be for Joker. So when it got announced he was Joker and I watched that film, I could really see the darkness, the elements that he was going to bring to the role. And then once we watched the film, he's just a juggernaut of an actor. I think the intensity that he brings to this role, you can feel the pain. I think some of my favourite scenes were just him staring. I think there was two scenes. There was one where his boss is telling him, "You're going to pay for that board that's been smashed."
Yeah.
And he's just stood there staring at him, and you can just see the intensity. You can imagine what he's thinking, he's feeling. It's all loads of different emotions all in one. And then there was another scene where he was like doing the exact same thing, and this was when he was going to go on the show, and Robert De Niro's character is slating him behind the curtain, and he's just stood there in this neon lighting, and he's just hearing him, putting him down, and it's just adding fuel. And I think all of it was the music, the setting, the intensity. He really dug into this role, especially with all the weight loss.
Take some tips.
It's just amazing. I think just a juggernaut of an actor.
I mean, you touched on the music there. The soundtrack for this film really added to the mood, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Not going to talk about the soundtrack much because I'm not well educated in that at all. But it really did add to the mood. My thoughts on Joaquin is he's an A-list actor, isn't he? He's one of the best actors we've certainly, as I alluded to earlier, within the last 30 years, definitely in the top, for me, the top 5. There's my phone going off, it's nothing important. But yeah, the character, the acting that he does is just out of this world. Your comments about him being stood in front of his boss when he's being slated about the sign, which was stolen from him, and leads to him getting beaten up, certainly not for the only time in the film. The guy takes a good hammering a few times. But I said to you, didn't I, as we were coming out, I spent the first 45 minutes of this film wondering whether or not I was going to break down. I was really bought into the character. I felt, and again, the music would have been adding to my mood, but I really felt for the guy. You completely forget what he becomes.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know who he is in the future, but yeah, I was almost depressed after the first 45 minutes. One scene that really got me was when when he's in his meeting with the counsellor.
Yeah.
For the psychiatric health nurse, and you find out that he's on 7 different types of medication to help his mood, and she's there and she tells him that they're cutting the funding, and he's trying to tell us something that matters to him. Something major has happened at the point of this meeting. We know what that was. And he just says, you don't listen, do you? You don't listen. And you saw the pure pain in his eyes. But also, it was a moment where he just seemed like to say, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
You don't care anymore, so I don't. And then he, like, where do I get my medication from? And then the bit for me is I just thought, oh my God, is when he said, who am I going to talk to?
Yeah.
It's like, wow. And then the other bit for me, which really got me, was you find out quite early on, don't you? And there's a scene where he's on the bus. You've probably seen it in the trailers, where he's hiding his face from a little kid, showing his face, and gets the kid laughing. And the kid's mum turns around and says, stop bothering him. And you don't get to see any more than that on the trailers. But in the film, he apologises and tries to tell her what he was doing. And then the mum just says, just leave him alone. And then he just bursts out laughing.
Yeah.
And you just think, what the fuck? What's going on? And he's really, that iconic Joker cackly laugh is going on. That ha ha ha. And you're like, okay. And then she's like, oh, you think it's funny? And he hands her a card, like a little business card. And it explains to her that he has laughing fits and it's a mental illness. He can't help it. And so that really plays into it, because throughout the film, he's doing this laugh in moments where you can see the pain. And you guys might have experienced, I know I've experienced in the past, where I've been so upset and I'm crying and I'm sobbing over something, but something happens at that moment when or you could be with a mate and your mate cheers you up and it makes you laugh at the same time you're crying. And so you've got snot coming out your mouth, tears running down your face, but you're laughing. And he does it perfectly.
Even to the point of where he's like choking.
Oh,
he can't breathe
and
he's struggling. I think it's...
And his image at that point as well, with that weight loss.
Yeah.
Just to see him doing all that with that weight loss, he just looks like a completely broken man.
Yeah. There was a quote at the end of the film that I really liked, when he's on the TV show.
Yep.
Where he said, these 3 people are killed and everyone's up in arms. If I was shot dead and I was on the floor, you'd walk past me.
Yeah.
And that just reminded me of the Dark Knight scene where Heath Ledger's Joker's talking about one mayor's been shot and everyone goes
everyone
crazy.
loses their mind.
Yeah. And I thought that was a really good line. And what I wanted to tell you, what I was thinking about today, I messaged Anthony talking about the ending of the film. So my initial interpretation of the ending of the film was, I thought the scene where he's talking to the lady at the end in the white room, I thought he was imagining that scene and him walking off, and I thought it's a bit white and the colouring, but then I thought, actually, I think where he jumps on the car, I think that was the scene that didn't happen.
Yeah, see, I was going to say that as well.
Because I thought, how has he gone from being this godlike character to then being in Arkham? So I think he was in the police car, the crash didn't happen, and they just took him to Arkham.
Okay.
He then imagined a crash and them getting him out and him being like a god and everyone doing his dance and stuff. That's my interpretation of the ending.
I was thinking not too dissimilar to it, but I did have a thought at that. I thought the film was going to end at that point with him on the car. So basically the major scene in the movie's just happened. He's been arrested and he's been driven away. And then he's just looking out the window, isn't he? The cop's giving him some shit from the front seat. He's looking out the window and smiling at all the people dressed in clown masks and everything.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know what was said by that copper. But as he said something, it must have been something important, because at that moment, that's when the crash happened.
Yeah.
And now you've said it, I tend to agree with you that maybe that didn't actually happen and he was just taken in and locked up and he's imagining that's how his story played out.
Because there's a scene at I can't remember where it is in the film, but he has a flashback, or there's a flash scene where he's in that white room and he headbutts the door, headbutts the window, but was never took back again until the very end
right
scene.
Near the start, and someone said, "Can you not remember how you got here?" And he just like banged his head against that wall, against that window. I think that was near the start.
Is it? Because that was, I'm sure that was the exact same room as the room he was in at the end. Could be that all of it's imagination.
That's the best thing about the film.
Yeah, that's the good thing about just using your own interpretation of the film.
So do you want to talk about other key moments that happened in the film?
Yeah, I'd say the violence in the film. So before I watched the film, I've seen all the controversy that was being talked about in terms of how dark the violence is. Yeah, I think some aspects it is dark, and I think it's the sort of premise of the story. I think at some points it could feel a bit horror-esque, especially when the little dude's trying to get out, and you think, yeah, it was a real. I think that moment was a real good mix,
yeah,
because it was like a sort of comedic moment, a horror moment. You just don't know what's going to happen. So much tension in the scene. I thought that was brilliant.
It was really nice, that bit, because that was, and it's spoiler alert, big spoiler alert coming up. So Arthur's sacked from his job as a clown because he took a gun into a hospital, a gun that had been given to him by someone that he worked with, and they were strictly told no guns are allowed. Obviously you shouldn't take a fucking gun into a hospital, even in America, but no guns are allowed in the job. This guy gives him the gun, doesn't he? He takes the gun into the hospital, and he's only taking the gun for protection because of obviously he's been beaten up so many times. And basically, the guy that gave him the gun kind of throws him under the bus when the manager finds out and says that he
set him up, sort of thing, doesn't he?
And there's a midget that works there with the clowns, and he's like the only person that's genuinely nice to Arthur. Big spoiler alert. So his mum dies. And well, no, I'm not saying how she dies. I'm not going to spoil that. Okay. She just dies. Okay. And then they come round to see him because they'd heard that his mum died, and it's the midget and the guy that set him up almost, and you know they're saying that they're there to make sure that he's okay. Out of nowhere, you know it's coming because he takes the pair of scissors out of his hand. But out of nowhere, he literally just fucking stabs the big guy. I don't know his name. Stabs him in the side of the neck, and then in the eyeball. Basically murders him.
Ramming his head on the wall constantly.
It's the most violent scene that's in the movie to that point.
And I think it stood out a bit more as well because of he had white makeup on, and the blood was splattered on his white makeup, so it just looked worse.
Well, he was prepping to go on the show, wasn't it? Again, I can't remember the name. I think it's Frankie Murray or so. I can't remember. But he was prepping to go on the show because his idea was to go on as the clown. And then the midget's in the corner crying because of what he's just done and asking him why, and obviously thinks he's gonna get it next. And he just turns to him and says, "You were always nice to me. You can go. I'm not going to hurt you." And then he goes to walk past him, and he goes, "Ah!" Shits him up. Everyone in the theatre starts giggling at that, and then you see the midget. This is where the real comedy aspect comes into it. So the midget walks up to the door, gets to open the door, and the safety chain's on. The safety chain's about 4 or 5 inches above where you can reach. And then he like turns around and goes, "Arthur, can you let me out?" And you just think there is tension there because you think, was that a setup? Is he actually going to kill him? And then he opens the door a little bit to let him out, and then he shuts the door again. And you're like, "Oh, come on, get it over and done with." But he lets him go because he likes him.
I think there was also the aspect of Zizi's character where I said to you halfway before, so there's moments in the film of where Arthur really likes his neighbour, and it looks like he's built this relationship with her, and you're seeing her popping up in different scenes of them,
Sorry.
of them going to. She's turning up to his comedy shows. She's turning up to the hospital to support him with his mum, and there was just some scenes where I thought. So I leant over to Dan in the cinema, and I said to you, I think he's imagining these scenes. I don't think they're actually real. And it turned out that was the case, because he turns up to her apartment and just sits there, and she comes in and shits herself and asks him to leave.
That was a really scary moment, because you didn't know what was going on with the character at that point.
It just looked a mess. What would you say was your favourite scene in the film?
Right, my absolute favourite, and I don't know if anyone would agree with me on this one, but after he does the murder in his apartment of the guy that he used to work with, he's on his way to the show.
Yeah.
And he's dressed in his clown makeup, and for me, there's just a switch in his demeanour at that point. Yeah. So he's gone from being this completely timid guy who, didn't ever want to speak to anyone, was scared about everybody, to wearing that iconic Joker outfit.
Yeah.
The I don't even know if it was tweed, but I'm colourblind, so I don't know the colour. It looked like a maroon suit to me, with like a yellow jacket top underneath it, waistcoat, his clown makeup on, and he is doing this freaky fucking dance as he's walking down them steps.
Yeah.
And that was one of those moments where I shifted in my seat a little bit, because it's like, this is him.
Yeah.
This is no longer Arthur, this is the Joker. And it's like, wow. And this is something that was definitely on one of the trailers.
Yeah.
Is when those cops shout him, and then he takes off running. It looks hilarious. The way he runs in this, it's not a natural run. You've got to fake the way he's running. It's hilarious. That, for me, it's only about 3 minutes, but it has a good build up to the show, and that I just thought it's absolutely brilliant.
That was one of my scenes.
Yeah.
And everything that you said, I thought it was more for me the build up of the music.
Yeah.
As he's going down the stairs, the music's going up, and I think there's one bit where he just goes, poof, lifts his head back, and you're like, he's joking.
It was it was the slow motion part of it, and the music again. We touched on that earlier. It really added to the film. But that scene in particular, it just felt, like I say, he's the Joker now. Obviously, there's no explaining in this film of how he becomes the mastermind that he is in the later stories that are told. I think another one for me. So when he's planning to go on he gets called up and invited on to the I'm going to say Franklin Murray. Again, I don't know if it's true. Robert De Niro's show. So Robert De Niro showed that video of him bombing out at the comedy club, embarrassed him on TV. He then gets invited on because, as you get these days, loads of people saw it. It's not the social media craze that you get today, but loads of people saw that, ringing up saying, this guy's great, let's get him on. So they invite him on. And you see him practicing in his apartment, don't you, about what he's going to do when he gets there, to the point of practicing his walk in and shaking the hand, sitting down, can't figure out how he wants to sit. And and he practices like, I'm a comedian, do you want to hear a joke? To the host, and he assumes the crowd are going to cheer as well. He goes, you all want to hear one? He goes, okay. He goes, knock, who's there? And he pulls out a gun and just pretends to shoot himself. And you think, wow. So that's his plan for the show.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. And again, you alluded to him being in that dressing room before the show. And just before he's coming on, and he's doing that little dance that he did again before he comes through the curtains. And that whole time I thought he's going to shoot his head off in the actual during the interview. But it did cross my mind that he can't do that because, it's the Joker. He never dies, does he?
I thought with that scene, because there's a build up to that scene. So you had elements of Taxi Driver where he's practicing the gun.
Yeah.
Big elements. But I thought that when he goes on the TV show, like you said, you're expecting him to blow his head off, and I think it's sort of like a message of he killed himself because then he transformed into the Joker by shooting De Niro and not himself.
Yeah.
So that was when he got rid of Arthur, and he was now Joker by doing that.
It was brilliant. I mean, so Robert De Niro's character obviously comes to the dressing room beforehand, doesn't he, to meet him?
Yeah.
And he says, "Will you introduce me as Joker?" And he goes, "Yeah, of course." You know, and you think, "Oh, it's going to be," you know. And then he goes on, and it was just how timid he looked when he was practicing it.
Yeah.
Against how he actually was when it happened. He came out full of confidence, smoking a cigarette, playing up to the crowd, walks over, snogs the old woman, and it just looked amazing. If it happened in this day and age and it actually happened on normal TV now, everyone would be like, "This guy's a fucking genius."
Yeah.
And then, I mean, during the interview, obviously it goes a little sour because he admits that he killed 3 guys. And it's been in uproar. We've not touched on that part regarding the story, but he killed 3 guys on a subway that attacked him. And there's a lot of stuff going around about kill a clown on the loose and that.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone's dressing up as a clown now in these riots. And he admitted that he killed these 3 guys. They think it's a sick joke, and he's like, "No, I really did." So then this is where Robert De Niro was really good, because Robert De Niro, you'd expect him to be the host, like, get this guy off, but he didn't. He challenged him. He openly challenged him, didn't he? Calling him sick and saying, "Why would you do such a thing like that?" And carried on with the interview. And you'd think, should have pulled this. But he never told the joke. He went, not.
Yeah.
They wouldn't play along with him. But then he mentioned what you touched on earlier about, everyone goes crazy because of these 3 guys who are horrible people.
Yeah.
But if I was dead, you'd all just walk over me.
Yeah.
And then he said, I can't remember the exact line he delivers, but it was something about, what do you get when you mix a mentally ill person with the right fuel or something? He goes, exactly what you fucking deserve, and blows his head off. Robert De Niro, the host, blows his head off on live TV. The audience goes fucking mental. He gets all giddy about it, and they're all running off. And then the one bit I missed, which I really thought they could have added to, is he walked up to the camera. I'm not going to do it now because I'm too lazy to get up, but he walked right up to the camera, grabs the camera and starts talking to the camera, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And they cut it and send it to emergency message. But then later on, as you've seen all the news feeds about it, you could see that they did actually get all the recording on camera. I don't know if you noticed in the background. But that was a brilliant scene for me, and that's what, you don't see him get arrested. It just cuts to him being in the cop car at that point.
Yeah. So I think definitely go and watch this film. I think it's a very good experience in terms of emotional experience and just really seeing an actor on the top of his game and really getting some current messages out there in a comic book movie that you've never seen before. So definitely go and watch it. Yeah,
I think what's massive for me at the minute is mental health is a really big issue. It's really on the forefront of everybody at the moment. It's National Mental Health Week next week, I believe.
I think so.
Next Thursday, which is, what's that? Is that the 10th?
Yeah.
It's World National Mental Health Day. So National Mental Health. It's World Mental Health Day, and this film involves a lot of mental health issues, doesn't it? And I think it's perfect timing. The film's come out at the right time, and I think it's going to get. Well, we already know it's going to be a brilliant film, but we have to touch on this. I'm sorry if we run over. We had a little chat, didn't we, as we come out of the cinema last night. Phoenix is so good in this. Nick says, "Do you reckon he'll get the Oscar?" And I'm like, whoa. Because we know Ledger got the Oscar posthumously, but I said to Nick, that's just as a supporting actor. I don't know if they will give an Oscar this day and age to the supervillain in that as a lead actor. I'm going to go and watch the film at least one more time. I've got a few friends that want to see the film. I really want to see it again. I recommend everybody 15 and above goes out and watches the film. It's really, really good. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. I hope you've enjoyed our thoughts and our opinions, and if anybody disagrees with us or even agrees with us, love to hear your comments. Yeah, comment down below.
Down there,
yeah, comment down below. I'll happily reply to you. I know Nick and Ann, they'll reply using the Talking Review page itself.
Yeah.
I'll just go on as myself. I've not been given access to put comments on as Talking Review because
it's too dangerous.
Yeah, I've been quite polite in this though.
Yeah. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got lots of great reviews on the way. Coming up to Halloween, we're going to do a Halloween week where all of us are going to review one of our favourite horror films. So yeah, that will be interesting, something to look forward to.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you on the next review.